Hello and welcome to Top Dice. My name's Aid and I've got Allan with me and also Jonathan Hicks as a guest. Allan, how's your week been?
My week has been really good. So I had a great session of ETU last Wednesday. Wednesday is my regular game night. That went good. It's just a very, very enjoyable game. I could go into the story about it, but let's just say, so I'm playing a character who's a college kid and he's a musician. I've been writing comedy songs about their adventures, one of which involves hunting a vampire, and because they couldn't find any garlic, we went hunting a vampire with a slice of garlic pizza. So that's the level that we were talking about there.
Yeah,
I managed to get a bit of writing done this week as well, which is great for a little adventure that I'm trying to get ready to put out probably on drive-through. And tomorrow night is our Christmas game, which is a Christmas-themed Shadowrun game.
wow.
Which I'm quite looking forward to. I think that's going to be good.
Well,
So yeah, been a good week.
Yeah, that doesn't sound bad at all. I'm supposed to be catching up with Steve tomorrow to do a pocket review of Section D. So watch this space.
Well, I look forward to seeing that.
With Steve, anything can happen. But anything. Anyway, Jonathan, thank you very much for joining us. We've been ignoring you for a bit there. So,
Mr. Hicks,
I know who you are. Would you like to tell everybody else who you actually are?
Yeah, I'm Jonathan Hicks. I'm a writer and games designer. I run a little independent publishing label called Farsight Games, which I use to publish like simple 4-page rules like games you'd like to mess about with. But I think I'm probably best known for my Advanced Fighting Fantasy adventures. The two games by Osprey Games, Those Dark Places and Pressure, and the recent release of Rapture Protocol for the Alien role-playing game from Free League, which I co-wrote with Thomas Harmston. So yeah, and I've been doing the hobby now since 1983, when I got my first Fighting Fantasy book. I think everybody in that era grew up with Fighting Fantasy. That got me into basic D&D, and I've just basically not stopped. And then in the last 10, 15 years, I did reviews and interviews, and then got into games design about 6 or 7 years ago. So yeah, that's me in a quite large nutshell.
Right, okie dokie. So, what were your first couple of games that you actually cannot wrote, but actually got you into gaming then?
Well, Citadel of Chaos, I saw it in the Puffin Book Club pamphlet in 1983. So I bought that, got into it, and then started buying the other Fighting Fantasy game books. And then the following year, it was D&D Basic, the red box with the Larry Elmore cover. And, of course, fell in love with that straight away. Was playing that at a school club, did that for a few years, but we played it more like a board game than a role-playing game, so moving pieces around, see what we can kill, get experience. And then Star Wars, the role-playing game, came out in 1987, celebrating the first 10 years of Star Wars, good God. And oh my Lord, where's my Zimmer frame? So, and then that was my campaign for years, and just played loads of other stuff in between. So that was like Mert, Vampire, Mech Warrior, Warhammer fantasy roleplay, loads of stuff throughout the 90s, especially. Yeah, it's good.
It was. Well, bit of history for me. The Star Wars role-playing game, the West End Games one, was the first ever new game that we got in. I ran this little shop called Preston Games. It was a second-hand bookshop, actually. And quite by chance, I won't go into but we ended up sort of starting to sell some role-playing games due to a stunt I pulled with the owners without them actually realizing. And then the first ever role-playing game, brand new, that we got in, and we got it a week before it was actually released, and we got permission to actually sell it, first place in the UK.
Yeah.
It was that. The covers were just absolutely amazing.
It's stunning. It's still one of my favourite games ever.
Oh, well, it got even better because Kenny Baker's from Preston, which is where Preston Games was. And he came in and he signed a couple of copies as well. So
brilliant.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Chris, his son was absolutely mad keen. All he wanted to play was an assassin droid. Did Chris Baker? Lovely chap, absolutely lovely, great funny lad. He was absolutely hilarious, and God, he was tall. Was Chris?
Actually, I've got a bit of a Star Wars role-playing story as well. When we
Go.
ran a campaign for 10 years and we were doing our own games, we set it in a place that we called the Cedapod Cluster or the Settling Sector. We did that for about 10 years. And my mate, Mark Newbold, who runs a website called Fanthatracks.com, it's one of the biggest premier Star Wars sites in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, he travels around the world doing press stuff for Lucasfilm and all this bits and bobs. And he was invited to write for Build Your Own Millennium Falcon. So we did. So he included references to our campaign in Build Your Own Slave. So the Emperor's starship, his engines come from a planet that we created in our cluster, in our role-playing game. So technically, our role-playing game campaign setting is now canon in the Star Wars universe.
I'm gonna say that's amazing. There you go.
Didn't that happen with some of the supplements and things that came out for D6 Star Wars? Because when they started making the prequel series, episodes 1, 2, and 3, they didn't have names for alien species and things like that. But so they got the Star Wars role-playing game books and used that and effectively made it canon material. Have I got that right?
It was actually before that, when Timothy Zahn was writing the Heir to the Empire novels. Basically, the only thing that had to go on, because Star Wars was a little bit quiet at the end of the 80s, and the only thing that had to go on was the source books from the role-playing game. So they basically said, here's the source books, use everything in these source books. So a lot of the stuff that you see these days is from those original source books, and they were either designed or named in those source books. It's all linked in together. I know a lot of the expanded universe for the 90s has now been turned into Legends, has been pretty much forgotten about. But yeah, that's where it all stemmed from the those source books were our only source of Star Wars information. Yeah. So they basically wrote them into canon because there was nothing else going at the end of the day. So actually worked out really well. So yeah, number one rule of role playing: write as much as you can because you don't know what's going to stick.
Exactly, and one of my all-time favorite role-playing games as well, the D6 Star Wars. It just captured it perfectly for me.
Yeah, one of the best ever licensed games, if not the best ever licensed game ever released.
Well, we might be coming back to Star Wars in a little bit through a roundabout way. Just have a quick look and see what's actually sort of new this week. So we've got Mongoose with Cluster Truck. This is a traveller.
Great name.
Game. Yeah. Basically, I've summed it up as Smoking the Bandit meets Alien, which is the
sold.
Basically, the Wayland Utani Corporation. The spaceships from Alien, it just sums it up perfectly. If you mix that and you get C.W. McCall writing the theme tune with possibly a bit of Red Savine or someone like that, and get Smoking the Bandit involved, so get Bert in, and it sounds like you've actually sort of got this. It just sounds absolutely wild. It's a 70s sort of throwback, I think. But yeah, it's sold to me as well. I'm big on the actual physical books, so I'm going to wait for the physical book to come out, and then I'm going to get it, and then I will do a review of it. So that's it. And Toon is seeing a comeback as well.
Yeah.
So through Steve Jackson Games. So that's going to be sort of quite impressive. Anything on the newer Kickstarter front from yourself, Allan?
But yeah, a couple of things to talk about this week. The first one is I'll put the old GMS hat on briefly. So we've extended the offer for joining the Games Club, as we have called it, which is basically a discount scheme for people buying direct from GMS. You can get 20% off your first order. So you will go to the GMS website, do all your shopping, and in the basket page, has to be the basket page, use the voucher code CLUB20 with a capital C. You get 20% off your order, and then thereafter you get 10% off anything that you buy from direct from the GMS website. So that is extended, I believe, until the end of the year.
Brilliant.
So yeah, and there's obviously there's loads of new stuff coming along on that all the time. And then the other thing I was going to talk about is a Kickstarter that's coming up in February, which we don't have anything to do with as GMS. Apart from our relationship with Three Sales Studios, who produce Mappa Mundi, which is the game that we talked about last week because it won the Gold Best RPG award at Dragon Meet, was Mappa Mundi, and their next project is called Gallows Corner. So what this is time-wise, it's set in an alternate history post-plague United Kingdom. And the idea is it's about peasants and rebellion and revolt. So it's inspired by stories like Robin Hood, things like that, where the lower classes are rising up and trying to make life a little bit better for themselves. The elevator pitch from Three Sales Studios is, if you know what a peasant is and you know what a revolt is, then you have enough to play this game. It's a narrative-driven game with what they call the retinue system. So you don't level up. What you do is you gain followers, henchmen, if you like, who they bring the extra experience and the extra skills. So instead of one character doing the whole thing, it can be one character who just says, I want you to do this instead. And then you can use these retinue, these retainers, if you like, for your meat shield as well, if you want. So if you're
Magicka, yeah, okay.
So yeah, very very narrative driven. I've seen some of the pre-production stuff that Three Sales have done, and it's similar to Mappa Mundi. It's stunning. The production values from these guys is just off the scale. Kickstarter launches in February. They are ready to go with it in terms of production. So as soon as the Kickstarter closes, it will go to production and it will be delivered in time for UK Games Expo next year. So short, sort of 4-month turnaround from Kickstart to delivery. So yeah, go and have a look at it. Three Sales Studios. The game's called Gallows Corner. Looks amazing. George Bickers has said he would quite happily come onto the channel and have a chat with us about it in the new year. So I really want to see this do well because they're a great bunch of guys. The products are superb, and yeah, just well worth taking a look at.
Right. Well, I've just made a note of the name actually, so I'm going to have a look at that and see what's what. I'm really, really big on UK, European, well, any small designer. It doesn't matter where in the world you're actually from. If you're designing games and you want to get it out there, then yeah, I'm all behind it. Definitely. Back to yourself, John. I know there's things you can't talk about currently because you'll be working on them and it's going to be hush hush. Is there any games, not necessarily Rome, that you're really looking forward to seeing next year?
I don't really have a list. I've been at the loop, to be honest with you, a little bit. I've been so focused because I've got a day job. Game design isn't my full-time job. So when I am at home, I spend most of my time staring into the computer trying to write what's in my brain. So I've been a little bit out of the loop. There's certain games I'm looking forward to getting to the table next year.
We'll go with that then. Go on.
Yeah, one of them I look for is Wrath and Glory, the Warhammer 40k rulebook.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't mind having a bit of a stab at that because that looks, that's definitely my sort of thing. My history with Warhammer 40k role-playing games is quite patchy because a lot of the time when you're trying to run a game, you ask the character, what do you want to do? And then they'll just scream for the Emperor and start killing shit. And that's a little bit annoying. But at the end of the day, that's 40k. But I think, why they've done this, there's a little bit more character to it. There's a little bit more. And what Warhammer Plus, the TV shows have been putting out, there's a lot more character to the Space Marines, like especially with the Salamanders and like with in Space Marine 2 and what have you. So we're going to try and go down that route. And the other one, and you won't believe this, is I want to try and get this to the table. Unbelievable.
I've got a story about that one as well, actually. I used to be, back in the day when I was running the shop, I actually sort of used to be a play tester and demoer for Decipher. Mm-hmm. And they used to send me loads of stuff. But I got that. I got the Star Trek role playing game, and I got the various card games as well, the CCGs that they actually did. And of them all, I must admit that the Lord of the Rings one back in the day
Mm.
was my favourite. It didn't capture us as well as other Lord of the Rings games, but it
Yeah,
certainly had something there, and it was a
yeah.
lot of fun. So I
I
think
know that.
you'll enjoy that.
Yeah, I've played it before. I've got most of the books actually. I've got nearly all the books. I don't know. I just went nuts and started ordering them. I thought that looks good. I'm going to have all of them. And I've played it before. I remember enjoying it. Again, the same with Merp. I wasn't hot on the magic system, so
Mm.
chances are I'll just drop that anyway. But I think the One Ring is the best version of the Lord of the Rings role-playing games. I think the Merp had the depth because it had all those extra books.
Yeah,
And then this had the focus because it was using the movies as its sort of bridge between the gaming and the actual lore. And then, but I think the One Ring has captured the essence of
yeah,
Lord of the Rings. It is a
it
wonderful
has.
game. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
They've done a good job, I must admit, with the One Ring. The second edition has really sort of brought it out, I think.
Yeah.
It's really sort of, I don't know, it's great to see Tolkien going mainstream in role playing.
It is because you can literally it's good for everyone because you can chop and change what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I like classic Tolkien, I like the movies, but I'll always go back to the books and the original BBC drama. So that's what I like about Tolkien. That kind of what made it great back in the day. But yeah, it's one of those things you can pretty much do what you want with, and yeah, it's great. You can be as fantasy trope or as focused and elitist as you want. That's what I like about it. It's a great setting.
Well, we're going to have a look at the UK tabletop role playing Facebook page in a second. There's a particular post that I stuck up. So if you just bear with me for 1 second, and I'll just get this up, and we'll have a look at it, and we'll have a bit of a chat about what it's telling us. 1 second. So UK tabletop role playing. One of the posts that I actually sort of put up was actually one relating to something called the All-Time Best Role-Playing RPG Reviews by Eternity Tabletop Role-Playing. And this is one I'd seen on quite a few other pages, so I thought I'd share it now. I'll go and look at the page in just a minute, but it's created quite a bit of interest. So some of the answers, let's have a quick look at these. We should really look at the list first, but I'm just going to run through a few of these. So again, this was the best RPGs. So Stephen Hardy came up and sort of said, "Well, there's a list of all-time great RPGs. It's wildly off the mark, and we'll see why in a second. But it really created a talking point." David Kahn actually came back and said that he wasn't too bothered and wasn't really interested. But when I actually sort of asked him and said, "Well, okay then, let's see what your top ones actually are," he did actually sort of come back and actually come with some really good responses. And he said that his guidelines or benchmarks were very, very different. It was all about whether he enjoyed it, whether his friends enjoyed it. And he came with a great list: Night's Black Agents, Blades in the Dark, D&D, Pendragon, which I absolutely love, Kids on Bikes, so great fun, Vaesen, Outgunned, is it Merp? There we go. So Merp gets the love there. So I just thought I'd sort of run through a few of these, but I'm going to actually go ahead and actually switch to the page and just show you and just see what your thoughts are. So basically, all games compared. So this is giving you an advanced view of to what the actual order was and what the popularity actually was. But it's really interesting. It's the top 14. First place, Dungeons and Dragons. Now, it doesn't actually say what version of Dungeons and Dragons this is, so it's a bit of an issue. And he's given it 10 for uniqueness.
I think on the All Games Compared, it does say D&D 5e.
Yeah, it's not unique. That'd be my take on it. If he'd been talking about maybe the old red box or something, because that was something very different. Ease of learning, yeah, I can go with that. Although They're not the best books to read. The 2024 versions, I would sort of rail a bit of that presentation. Well, it was to the coast, flawless, I would sort of say, as in it looks the business. Game lore, we've got that. But yeah, so first place is put it as D&D. So again, we'll move on. We'll look at the others. Numenera and Cypher. I don't know if either of you are familiar with that system.
I'm actually not.
No, I'm familiar with the system, but not Numenera as a whole.
Yeah, I tried it. I found it very difficult to get into. Ease of learning, I actually found it really difficult. I know others do find it easy, and possibly I was reading into it a bit too much. The artwork, etc., spot on, but I did struggle. Third place, we've got Pathfinder, Starfinder. So that's one for you, Alan. Now, uniqueness, it's a difficult one to pull because it's based on D&D 3rd edition.
But that means you could say that any OSR game is and you tell me that Shadow Dark doesn't have a unique feel to it, and I'm sorry, we're gonna.
It's how you perceive. This is it. It's how you perceive it. But again, it's quite interesting. Pathfinder, Starfinder. I think it's so popular. It's up there. Marvel Universe. I'm thinking rather than Marvel Universe, he's actually sort of thinking of the multiverse rather than universe game, which is the more recent one, which again is quite an interesting one. That's easy to find, so I'm guessing that's that. Fifth place, Shadowrun, ease of learning, 7.5.
I know I struggled with first edition a little bit. I mean, once we've got into the groove of it, it was actually okay. I think my favourite edition, was fourth.
Yeah.
Because it was just a lot easier to play, and then they improved it after that. So when the hacker was off doing his own thing, it didn't feel like a separate game. But it's not an easy game. It's not an easy game to learn, especially from any metric really. But I don't know. It's easy for me to judge because I don't think I'm thinking back 30 years ago when I struggled with it.
It's again, fifth edition was the one that I played first edition, got into that second edition as well. Bit of a break. I just love the setting. I really do. The game lore, I think, is absolutely up there. Never ever deal with a dragon. Bang. Yeah, that just legendary. And the artwork, again, I've always found exceptional. Even back in the day, just very different. So I do like it. But it's interesting to see where he's putting these. Savage Worlds at number 6.
Yeah, so I've looked at this. And everybody knows that I'm a big advocate for Savage Worlds. And what I'm not getting here is combat and game flow getting such low scores.
Yeah.
Because
I'm the same.
I think it's of a lot of the role-playing systems out there, I think combat flows so quickly sometimes because when you're talking about the minions, they're either up and fighting or down and out. And it's as simple as that. You're not tracking hit points for them or anything like that. It's just,
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious. Well, yeah, that's their mantra, isn't it? Fast, Furious, fun. I get why it's scored low on game lore because it's just a game system. So the game lore comes from all the different settings. I get that. I don't know where it's come from on the combat and game flow thing. I think those are low scores for that game.
Yeah.
But again, I find a lot of these are very much altered by people's personal opinions, aren't they?
They are, yeah. It's he's put there in it's in his experience. Obviously, game flow and combat is heavily depends upon having a great games master. The system itself is otherwise quite good. I would say that it was more than quite good, but again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everybody's got one.
And I think it's a struggle as well to be objective as far as role-playing games are concerned, because it really is horses for courses.
Yeah.
There are game systems out there that I wouldn't touch with a barge pole, and yet people have had the best campaigns ever. And conversely, I've played in campaigns where I can't stand the system, but I've had the greatest time ever. Yeah. So I think if he'd called this my best tabletop RPGs of all time and not the best RPGs of all time, you know what I mean? It would have felt a little bit more like an opinion and not a fact.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when you look at his criteria at the bottom of all this, it makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, definitely. In seventh place, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I like the fact that Games Law has hit a 10 on this.
Yeah.
Uniqueness, I would have given it quite a bit more if the Warhammer game systems, I think, were quite unique back in the day. They were very different. So, it could get a bit clunky. I'll give it that, but it's one I really enjoyed.
So here's one for you. Question then, going back in the day, the Judge Dredd role-playing game from Games Workshop, is that the first iteration of the Warhammer Fantasy role-play game system? Very, very similar.
Yeah, it is.
And was Warhammer built on that, or did something come before? Discuss.
I think you might be right, actually, because the layout is virtually exactly the same. With Warhammer, they basically tried to match up the stats with the stats of the battle of the fantasy battle system, which is where your toughness, strength, and wounds and everything comes in. And there was even a conversion system in the original rule book, which allowed you to convert it to and from backwards and forwards between the Warhammer Fantasy Battle and the role-playing game. But I think you're right. I think Judge Dredd is probably, I mean, bare bones wise, is probably the first iteration of that kind of game system.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like Ghostbusters was the first iteration of Star Wars.
Yeah, the D6 system.
Yeah. Which again, I just love that. Anyway, so next Star Wars. Then we're going to come back to it. Hey,
we are going to have discussions about this. We have to, because how can? Well, it's clearly not about the first. It's clearly not about D6 Star Wars, because ease of learning. You know, the character sheet tells you how many dice you're rolling, and if you can add up, you can play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is going to be the new iteration of Star Wars.
It's got to be presentation 7.5.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. They can't be talking about the D6 version.
No. Then we hit 9th place, Call of Cthulhu. I
expected the uniqueness to be high. I'm not going to lie, because when it first came out, there really wasn't a game quite like it.
Yeah, and I'd expected artwork to sort of be, because the front cover of the Games Workshop edition was just absolutely fantastic. It's Scooby-Doo vibes, but 1920s with the tentacle floating around, and you've got the classic Addams Family style house there. One of my favourite games, I'll put that out straight away.
It is
10th
excellent.
place, Zweihander. Now, Zweihander, uniqueness. And then I'm going to go back to Warhammer Fantasy Role.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
With this, I have issues, but I'm not going to sort of dwell on them. I'm afraid that I'm as much as I like Warhammer, Zweihander, I don't think deserves to be here, but it does have a place. It does have a place. Vampire. I've played Vampire. Have you played Vampire? Yeah.
I never got into Vampire. All my friends got into Vampire, and I bought the book, read it, and do you know what? It's just not for me.
It takes a certain games master to sort of make it work.
The group has got to be on the same page. It is one of those games where you all need to be on the same page to play it. Also, it was just, for me, I enjoyed it because it was just a different way of role playing. Up to that point, it was literally shoot people in the face and take the stuff. This added a bit of depth to it. But I'll be honest with you, I drifted away from it quite quickly, because as much as I enjoyed those sort of introspective drama, I actually also enjoyed shooting stuff in the face. So I kind of drifted away from it a little bit, but it is a solid game.
Yeah.
And I do get that lore score. The lore to it is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I think game fame should be higher for Vampire because I think
it was a game changer.
I think exactly that. It was a game changer, and I think Vampire in the late 90s was what D&D 5th edition is now, in that it was introducing people to role playing.
It got a lot of people in.
It definitely did get a lot of attention, especially when they were adding sort of mage and werewolf and things like that as well.
It also showed you what you could do with a role-playing game. The sort of directions, and that it didn't need to be about sort of experience points and hex crawling. It showed you that you could go into a lot more depth, characterization, narrative storytelling, all this sort of stuff. Definitely. Game fame should be higher. It was a game changer.
I mean, I think for me, it was the idea of playing the monster. And I know you were a monster trying to do good things, but for me, this is my personal opinion. And it just didn't quite click. I really did. The few sessions of it that I played, I enjoyed that role-playing interaction and the narrative heavy. But it was, for me, I think it was the setting for me that it just didn't gel with me personally. Yeah. So, but for thousands of other people, it did. It was the biggest thing in gaming for a long, long time, wasn't it? Should possibly be placed higher than 11th place on this list.
Yeah. Then we've got Legend of the Five Rings. Now that was a game I couldn't get into. I tried it a couple of times, but I'm not full into Eastern traditions and culture. It's I find it difficult to get my little Western brain on that. I had the same issue with Oriental Adventures as well for AD&D. I'll be quite blunt and upfront about that. But again, it's hit there. It's 12th space. I can understand why it would be popular. And there's so many iterations of Five Rings come about. So, we've got to move through a bit quicker just to sort of get things. There was Dungeon World in 13th place. And interestingly, Ars Magica in 14th place with Uniqueness, a mere potential 3. I don't know again if you've played that, but that doesn't ring particularly true. I would have put the uniqueness of it because, again, you've got your minions that you troop style play, etc. And Mark Ryan Hagen and I think it was Jonathan Tweet, wasn't it? I think they did a great job actually of it. So that's that as it comes. Stop sharing.
I suppose when he's doing lists like this, there's an element of what his criteria is and what his expectations were as a gamer. So when you were talking about like Ars Magica, he didn't put it down unique. To me, Ars Magica was a very unique game in many respects. But I don't know, the guy could have a PhD in 14th century occultism, you know what I mean? So he's lived and breathed this past 40 years and then looks at it and goes, well, that's not very unique. Well, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know what his previous experiences have been. And I think if you scroll down to the bottom of that article, he does go through what his criteria that he used to review it. And looking at it, his explanations, do you know what? I get it. But I still think he should have named the article my best role-playing games, not the best role-playing games. It felt like he's done a worldwide survey, and that's simply not the case.
Yeah,
I love reading things like that.
I think the best tabletop RPG is the one that you are enjoying playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's that simple, because everything's down to you, your group, and how you enjoy playing that game, that setting, whatever that GM is preparing and running for you. If you're enjoying it, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
100%.
That's it. Well, time's nearly up, gentlemen. It's gone really fast as that. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining us. And
thanks, Jonathan. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you, Per, as well. Thank you very much for having me on board with this, and I'll be more than happy to come again if there's another invite.
Good. I was going to sort of say, will you come back and join us, or have we sort of destroyed your faith in humanity completely. But no, there
No,
we go.
we're not quite there yet. So.
Right. Well, thank you very much, and it's a goodbye from Jonathan and a goodbye from Allan. So thank you very
And
much.
a goodbye from him.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Have a really good rest of the week and keep on rolling that dice.
Enjoy your gaming, guys.
Thank you very much.